Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that yeah, I'll do that soon. Hey,
Come
I
on,
think we're
Abu.
live. Yes,
Oh Lord.
I think we are on. Hey,
There
this
we
is
go.
Johnny Bean. David Nesdall. Yo.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, man. Alan Garber, dude.
Howdy, guys.
What's
How are
going
you
on,
doing?
Alan?
Just sitting here enjoying life and glad to be with you guys. I've been trying to get back on for a long time and just glad to be here.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool. So Alan messaged me. He sent me a message. I guess it was last week, wanting to explain the intro to Van Halen's "Women in Love," right?
Yeah, the last time I was on, I talked about the Hear About It Later intro, and then David was like, hey, go play Women in Love. I'm like, well, I'm not tuned and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, oh, well, that'd be fun, and I hadn't played it in a while, so I was like, oh, well, let me mess around, and so I was like, well, let's do one, and then I was never able to hook up with you since then, so here we are.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool.
Well,
Cool.
how about I
Great.
just
So how out of tune?
shut up and play it?
Yeah, play it first,
All right,
and
there
then
we go.
explain how out of tune your guitar is for it.
Exactly, right? you you are with the program, David. I like it. All right.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So then the rest of the song.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
So
That's
that's
great.
that's all used with a pick then, right?
well, except for the tapping part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's no finger picking though, or anything.
No, it's 100% picked. Yeah. Um, the I will mention the tuning. The tuning is a half step down. It's just like I've so far on Van Halen 2, the songs that I've gone in and captured the tuning. They are all so far, and I've only done like 3 songs. They're all so far plus 30 cents up from exactly a half step down. So it's a half step down, up 30 cents, and that's what it is on Out of Love Again, and this song, the intro and the rest of the song. So when the distorted humbucker equipped guitar comes in after the intro, that's also obviously in a half step down plus 30 cents.
Hmm.
Um,
All the strings, right? All the strings
all
are
the
plus
strings.
30 cents? That
All the
makes sense
strings.
to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like something happened, the first album, there were a lot of these really wacky tunings where each of the individual strings were oftentimes way out of tune with each other. And, there's, who knows why that is. Some songs benefit from that, like Running with the Devil and major triads, 3-note major chords where you have the beatless third on the B string. Sometimes that benefits when you have different strings out of tune with each other, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But on the second album, it looks like he just went to a more or less, so far at least, looks like he went to a standardized plus 30 cents up from a half step down on so far, as far as I've been able to tell, that's where we're at for most of the second album. So, and it may be continuing. There's some different tunings on different albums, that occur after that. But so anyway, that's where that song is. And like the Hear About It Later intro, it was played. I know for a fact that, well, some of the people out there may not know, but the guitar that was used to record the intro was a Boogie Bodies unfinished guitar with the 3 single coil pickups, one of which was the red phenolic pickup that ended up going in the Frankenstein later, I think, and
Really?
yeah, one of those was that red Mighty Mite pickup, and then there's a Telecaster pickup that's also in there, which I think the Tele pickup might be the middle pickup possibly, or the bridge pickup. I can't remember. And it had a white pick guard and it had the Dan Electro neck that later went on the Star guitar. And so that was the guitar that was used to record the intro. And then on Hear About It Later, he uses the out-of-phase position between the bass and middle pickups. So as you say, 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be position 4 in a 5-pickup selector. But this one is between the bridge and the middle pickup, so it's position 2.
Yes.
And there's a lot of natural harmonics in this intro, and of course there's the tapped harmonics, and that does kind of come out better when you've got the bridge pickup engaged, at least. And then so the tapping part of the intro has that kind of the same dotted eighth note delay. I don't remember. I think
one repeat. What's the milliseconds on that, or are you just going by ear?
It's 104 beats per minute is what the tempo of the song is, and I'm not sure what the milliseconds are, because I mean, even right now, I'm using my deluxe Memory Man, which of course has no milliseconds. I don't know for milliseconds because I
get it.
always use analog delay.
Yeah, I get it.
And on my H9, it has a digital delay. If you can imagine, I've gone 40 years without using a digital delay of any kind. So for me, getting the H9, I've come into the 80s finally. So.
Nice. Yeah, I just got a new delay pedal myself the other day, and I got the
flashback, right?
The flashback times 4,
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, have you gotten to play? See, there's a guy that posted a picture of his pedal board, and I can't remember which guy it was that posted a picture of his pedal board on Facebook, and he has the flashback. I think it's the one with the 4 buttons like yours, the times 4. And I asked him, I said, well, have you used that looper to do any Van Halen things, like say looping the outro rhythm guitar for Drop Dead Legs and playing over, that's what I'd like to do. I have the first iteration of the Ditto looper. I'm god awful at looping. I'm such a novice, and I want to get better at it. I haven't been practicing it very much, but all that's to say, have you had a chance to play with the looper function at all on it?
Not yet. It just sits on top of my 5150 amp right now.
Okay.
And I really haven't had time to do anything with it other than program 3 different delays. I programmed the
cathedral,
long digiplex type soloing, a short delay, and then the cathedral delay, and that's it. Right.
Well, really Eddie's delays are pretty much. I mean, you can get. The long and the short of there's a few things that you can add, but really most the meat of Eddie's delay sound is just one repeat.
In the olden days, yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, and even as you get later on, the meat of the sound is really the one stronger delay, and then sometimes there's a little more trailing in the later years. But yeah, I mean, you can just do a one repeat, especially in the older material, and you're going to come out all right. So yeah, so I am using currently right now just I have a '79 Electro Harmonix Deluxe Memory Man.
You have an original one.
Yes, yeah, a real one.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
I don't know if you can see it here.
Those are the best sounding delay pedals. If you're not going to go for an Echoplex, that is the best sounding delay on the planet right there, as far as analog pedals. Yeah, I've used that as my main delay pedal since I bought it in '87 at a pawn shop. I bought that around the same time I bought my Script Logo Phase 90 and my vintage flanger. I paid $35 for that Deluxe Memory Man. Wow. I think they had marked it at $55, and I told them, I was like, it's a pawn shop, and I just go, it's not even digital. So they marked it. If you wanted to sell that right now, you could make your money back.
Oh, yes.
That's a joke. Come on, that's a joke.
I know. It's a great. Well, the deal with that Echo is that it is the Echo that Edge used for his delay sound.
Yeah.
He still uses an analog mic version today. He doesn't use his vintage ones, I don't think, really anymore, or he doesn't take them out on the road, that's for sure.
Right.
But they, the old, there's a whole thing about them. There's a lot of, it's hard to find one that's in good condition. I had a guy recondition the entire thing and put all new wiring and solders and all kinds of stuff on the inside of it, because the wiring and the stuff that they used was really bad in the old ones, things would oxidize and shorts would develop. So there's going to be a lot of old late 70s original ones that just plain don't work out there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so mine actually stopped working, and I had to get it completely, redone. Everything's original to the piece except for the wiring. I had to, change all that stuff out and get virtually the entire thing completely redone. But it's been great. So that's what I'm using for my delay. Like I said, it's just a dotted eighth note delay, and the tempo of the song is 104 beats a minute. Not sure the milliseconds. And then the other thing is I'm using a compressor algorithm in my H9 core, my Eventide H9 core, and the compressor really helps everything jump out, especially the natural harmonics, and it kind of maintains the volume level well between all parts of the song. So the beginning of the song is done with the harmonic tapping technique, and that's where the delay is on. You kick off the delay after the tapping section when you go into the picking part. So there's even a setting on the Eventide H9 that's called Women in Love that has a harmonizer for the chorusy sound, and it's got a delay, but you have to be able to turn off the delay after you do the tapping part in order to play the rest of the song.
Right.
The only thing that I'm missing in my setup right now is a chorus. I believe on the recording there is a studio chorus of some sort.
Yeah.
It's not a chorus pedal. It's something from the board, and it's one of those choruses that doesn't sound like, it's not a swirling sounding chorus, and it's also not an Eventide detune chorus or anything like that. It's just a regular chorus on top of that. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't have a regular chorus pedal or anything that approaches that, so I'm just kind of playing it without chorus. But if you really want to get it right, you will use a chorus. And obviously, if anybody's seen the video of Eddie demonstrating that, I think it's the EVH3.
Yeah, sure.
That one where he runs through a bunch of old riffs, and the first thing he does is the Women in Love intro on there. Mm-hmm. And you can definitely hear he's probably using that MXR micro chorus, or one of those choruses that he's had in his pedal board, like Chris Hubbard's pedal board. He's using that on that little demo. There's one thing that I did notice when I was watching that and watching whatever clips I could get of him playing the intro to Women in Love off the last tour. You can play that song just according to Hoyle and have your thumb on the back of the neck like you would for lots of other chords. But the way Eddie plays the intro, well, the first thing is, I'm not going to go through each note for note thing. I mean, I will say this again, like the Hear About It Later intro, the Women in Love intro is correctly transcribed in the official tab books. So really, if anybody wants to know these specific notes, I don't have time to go through them all here, but you can trust me, and I'll repeat, go buy the official tab books. They're not 100% correct all the time, but they're a great place to start. But anyway, the thing starts off with a tap of the harmonic at the 12th fret on the low E string. So it's, and then he goes into the rest of the tapped intro.
Alan, I'm going to stop you. Alan, I'm going to stop you real quick.
Okay.
Turn the delay off. Turn the delay off right now.
Okay.
And do it without the delay, so people can actually hear what your tapping finger is doing without the delay.
That's a great idea. Thank you for that, David. Yeah, I'll do that. So here's what's going on without the delay. So that's without the delay.
Do it with the delay.
and then the rest. So yeah, that part. The thing about the tapped intro. Well, what I do and what I believe Eddie probably does is he palms the or he sticks the pick in the crook of his finger, and then he does the tapping part like so, and so he hits that first harmonic at the 12th fret of the low E string, and then he lets that ring, and then he goes into the bar chord, the bar major triad at the 9th fret for the E chord, and he taps. Obviously, when you're tapping 12 frets above. Directly above the fret wire, and you spank it as hard as you can right on the fret wire, not on the fret, but on the actual on top of the fret wire, and you're just kind of rolling through that chord shape, and these are the classic Eddie Van Halen chord shapes that he does in Dance the Night Away and Panama and any number of millions of other songs. It's the same chords and the same key and the same everything. He's
correct.
just
and he gets that from Pete Townsend.
Yeah, those suspended chords and those shapes. Well, yeah, he probably did get it from Pete Townsend. Although this kind of thing was really a Keith Richards thing first, I would say, because Keith was really using those, that kind of, and then Pete kind of took it and ran after that to me. But yeah, I agree with you. Eddie probably got that stuff from Pete Townsend, and also playing the odd Rolling Stones cover without tuning to G, and all that kind of stuff. That's how he did that. So, but one thing you want to do when you start going into the tapping section proper, and this is what I saw Eddie do on that little demo video, is that he hits that open harmonic on the low E string, starts going on the other note. And as he's going up to these notes up here, he wraps the thumb around over here. He's using that to mute the strings. Now you can try to mute the strings normally. You can use the flesh of your index finger to try to mute the low E and this, that, and the other. But I just happened to notice that the way Eddie plays it is that he's using all of his fingers to mute where necessary, but he does wrap the thumb over the top. And for me, that helps me to play it. You can really start spanking the strings and not worry about hitting anything else if you're doing it that way. So, and so you really try to hit them hard. I suggest, again, this is another one of those things you want to do with the metronome. Do it without the delay on. Play it like the way I played it without the delay, and just work up your speed until you get up to tempo, and just make sure that you're clearly hitting each of those harmonic tap notes hard and clear. And then, after you get comfortable with that, kick on the delay, go to town, and love that. And then, and basically the same thing just kind of repeats down into the D shape. So that's, but that was kind of one little neat tip that I just recently saw when I pulled up that video. I was like, oh, look, he's got the thumb around there, which is how I've always done it, because it seemed to make sense to me as far as muting goes. But, that was just kind of a cool thing I noticed. And again, don't beat yourself up if it doesn't sound like the record. If you don't have the compressor is the thing that really makes it sound. You're going to do yourself a lot of favors by getting a good compressor to play this. I think there's a reason. There's several reasons why Eddie never got this sound well live. A, he doesn't have a Strat that he would use just for the intro of that song, and then switching guitars to play the rest of the song. And then B, he'd have to call up a compressor, a chorus, and the delay, and switch on. There's times where, and a lot of, even on the last tour, Eddie didn't even use a delay at the beginning on the tapping part. He didn't use any delay at all. He just played it with the chorus, and that's it. So, but which is kind of.
I beg to differ with you on that.
There may be some shows that he used the delay, but the ones that I've seen, he did not use the delay on it.
Yeah, well, I was up pretty close when I went to see them. He did use delay, but it wasn't the delayed signal wasn't as loud as the direct signal like it is on the record.
Okay.
It was more in the background, but it did have delay on for it. And it was the right delay time. It just wasn't the right delay signal.
I see what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah, yeah, because it was kind of mushy, but it was like the typical ambient delay that he's got going on, but not
Yeah.
necessarily that. Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
So there's a lot going on in that intro, and there there's even if you listen to the older bootlegs too, he's not using I mean, if you go back to like 79 and 80, I don't know if he played it in 79, but they definitely played it in 80. He did not.
Yeah, there was no delay at all back then.
Right, he did not use the delay at all. He did use the Eventide harmonizer on that intro back then, though. And if you hear the 1980 bootleg versions of it, that's what you're going to hear is that Eventide harmonizer, detuned chorus kind of sound. That's what he's using there. So and then you switch off to the delay after the tapping part, and you get into the picked chords. And there's a couple of things with your fingering. As we get in, the very first chord is I don't even know what the name of it is, but it's the open low E, and then the 5th fret of the A string, then the open D string, and then the 2nd fret of the G string. So you play those 4 notes, and then you play the open E and B. So wait, I'm gonna see if I get that right. No, you actually just play the open B. So it's you play that chord, and then the open B, and then you move your index finger up from the 2nd fret on the G string up to the 4th fret. So the next note that you play after the open B is the 4th fret of the G string. So you're just doubling that same B note. So it's.
Hey, hang on. Actually, I gotta take this call. So.
Sure. So anyway, that's kind of a tricky thing that took me a minute. I'll tell you how I finger that chord. It's the open E, and then I use my ring finger on the 5th fret of the A string, and then I have to arch my. This is another one of those chords like in the Hear About It Later intro where you really have to plant your thumb way back on the back of the fingerboard to be able to make that chord properly and let all the open strings ring. Mm-hmm. So it's ring finger on the 5th fret of the A string, the open D string, and then I use my index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then of course your B and E are open. But the first chord is, and then you play the open B string, and then the next note is the same note except you're playing it on the 4th fret of the G string. And what's kind of cool, Eddie does that several times during this, and it kind of gives a neat little natural chorusing effect because you've got the difference of sound between the open B and the fretted B at the 4th fret, and it kind of creates a natural phasing, chorusy kind of thing. So that's a cool thing that he does. And then you're going to do the natural harmonics. So that's kind of a fun thing. And at that point, I lift my whole hand away to play these natural harmonics at the 7th fret, so that I can get in position for the next chord. So that's another kind of fun thing he does. He does another of the thing with the open B against the fretted 4th fret of the G string. So he goes. That's kind of a fun thing. So he actually plays the open B and then hits the 4th fret of the G string twice. And then he moves to the next chord, which is. So that's kind of a neat thing that he does throughout there. He'll play the same note twice, which almost makes it seem like he's playing it on a different, like on a different string, but it's the same note. But he's actually just repeating the note twice on the same thing. So I thought that's kind of a cool effect. Then he does that same thing later on. He plays the 2nd fret of the G string twice. I could go through the rest of this note for note, but it's like it'll take me forever. Again, just go get the tab book and
I was just thinking.
Go ahead.
I wonder what the song would sound like on a banjo.
Oh, it would sound killer.
It almost sounds like a banjo tune or something, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder, they may have actually. I don't know. I never did buy that Van Halen picking on Van Halen bluegrass covers of Van Halen CD that came out a while ago.
I wonder if
they might have done that on there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool to hear. Yeah, because I'm sitting here listening to you playing that, and I'm just thinking, oh, that almost sounds like a banjo, or that it would sound good on that, you know.
Absolutely, and a lot of the reason for you're absolutely right, because this is typically a country setup. When you're using the out of phase positions on a Strat, or even on a Tele, there's no out of phase really technically on a Tele, but if you use the out of phase positions on a Strat and you're playing a clean sound and you've got a compressor on, that's the classic country setup. That's your Albert Lee, Brad Paisley, James Burton, you name it, country player. That's the whole that's the whole deal. And then of course you hear Eddie take that further on OU812. He takes this exact same setup with a compressor and the bridge and middle pickups activated at the same time sound on Finish What You Started. And of course he also uses the same sort of sound on Best of Both Worlds, but Finish What You Started is a more obvious country flavored song because he does chicken picking and stuff in it. But Eddie really liked this sound a lot. I mean, needless to say, to me, in his heart of hearts, I think that when Eddie thinks of a clean sound, he thinks of it this way. Like Eddie does not excel at clean sounds on his signature instruments.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really get a clean sound using a humbucker.
Yeah, I mean, you can try, and you can coil tap, and you can do this, that, and the other, and you can get close, but it's not the same as having a Strat or just a regular Strat or a regular Telecaster. And there's a reason why people have different guitars, because they do different things. This is a case in point. Yeah. But I remember Eddie always saying he could never get a good sound out of the neck pickup because it was always too muddy. And I think that even if he was turning down on any of his humbucker equipped guitars, it would just never approach what I think he may have been wanting to hear in his head, which for a Cordy type of sound, this would be that clean sound.
Yeah. When I play, I mean, generally when I'm writing, because I write my own stuff. When I'm writing or jamming or whatever, a lot of the time, actually, I play a Strat, clean channel, on the second or fourth position.
Right.
That's, to me. There was actually a time where that was my main sound for a while. Playing the.
Yeah, that's a real, as you've said before, that's sort of the class, and you add a chorus on that. That's sort of the classic '80s thing, like the outfield.
A chorus and a compressor.
Yeah, and that out of phase pickup position. So when you listen to the outfield, I'm not going to sing it because I'll shatter glass, but
that's the tonight.
Yeah, I just want to use your love tonight. I love the
sing along.
I actually like that album. I like them a lot.
Oh.
But that's that sound,
That's the only song of theirs I actually have.
It's a great song. Your Love.
Yeah.
That's it's called Your Love. And then they had another one that was really good too. They had like 2 or 3 hits off of that album that were really, really good. They were almost like Talk Talk. They had like 2, 3 really, really, really good songs, and then just nothing.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, the '80s. As far as the '80s and hit songs, it was mostly one-hit wonders. that you could order on a compilation, 2-album, 2-cassette thing late at night from KTEL or whatever, but yeah, a lot of great songs. Hey, Dave.
I'm so sorry. That was my diabetes doctor. I had to take the call.
Oh.
That's okay. It's just your life.
Yeah, and it's all good. Yeah, just a good report. It's all
good. Glad to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was actually thinking, Dave. I was thinking maybe you and Mully should team up for a show or something. Because he talks about all that stuff all openly.
I understand that. I hope the best for him. Am I wrong, or is he in the hospital though? Because I thought I saw a Facebook thing where he was in the hospital.
He was in the hospital. Or you mean since
but
yesterday?
He's out now, right?
You mean since yesterday?
Yeah, I thought 2 days now. It said it was 2 days. Okay, that was old.
He was, and then he got out.
Okay, good.
I
was a little worried about him.
I mean, he posted a video yesterday where he was driving.
Okay, that's fine.
Night,
good.
And he talked to me yesterday. He messages me and yeah, I think that's old.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, good luck to you, Molly. I hope you're feeling better, and glad to hear it. Sounds like you're doing okay. Diabetes is a big deal for everybody. I mean, there isn't anybody that isn't touched by diabetes. My father-in-law passed away from complications from diabetes, and he had a long battle with diabetes. My wife is from a Jamaican family, and Caribbean people and Jamaican people have a lot of issues with diabetes in general, and my wife had juvenile, or could have had, she had sugar issues while she was pregnant, so she had gestational diabetes, and we really had to watch her sugar while she was pregnant with my daughter, and it's something that we have to watch when we get pregnant again, and it's a big deal, and it's great when you're watching, when you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you watch what you're eating, and you can have just a fantastic, awesome, great life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at the moment. That's where I'm at. All my numbers are great, and eating healthy, and it's just been, I've been, for like 8 months now. I've been really, I don't think I've had pizza in 8 months. It's crazy, but, I'm living without it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because you get used to doing it, and I think I can speak for my wife. When my wife really got down on when she was pregnant, and we both it was a concerted effort between me and her to try to make sure she was eating everything just right, and she actually felt great. She was slimmer when she was pregnant. I mean, she was just actually really super healthy when she was pregnant. She looked fantastic. My wife actually lost weight while she was pregnant, but healthily. So actually, everything just balanced out perfectly. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost weight because I was eating the same way as she was. We've both fallen off the wagon after we had my daughter, but it's kind of a great way to live, to really watch what the hell you're eating and putting into your body. I'm not a big evangelist about that stuff, and screw it. If you want to kill yourself with whatever kind of foods, that's fantastic. And, yeah, I mean, and I love bad food. Believe me, I engage in that crap a lot. But
See, I don't eat anything. I don't eat sugar stuff. I don't eat candy, cookies, cake, ice cream. I don't eat any of that stuff. I never did. I don't like it. But my big thing was pasta and bread, and I'm doing okay without it. I have bread here and there a little bit. You're allowed to have a little bit. I just don't go overboard. It's good. And I was a lot heavier than I am. I lost quite a bit of weight, and I feel healthy, and my sugars are all normal. Everything's great.
Sweet. Well, hey, just to catch you up on what we were talking about. I don't know if you could hear any of it while you were on the phone, but
I did hear it all.
Yeah, good.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to go so super into detail because it would just take forever, but I just kind of wanted to hit some kind of neat little things. I mean, as I was saying, like Eddie kind of does this fun thing where he'll play the same note twice on the same string, and then sometimes he'll bounce between the open string and the identical note fretted as like the open B string and the fretted note at the fourth fret of the G string. So he does that a lot in that little pick thing, and it's neat. And like the Hear About It Later intro, you really do have to get your thumb way the hell back there to make those chords. It's another one that's going to be. It's not as hard, I think, as Hear About It Later in those terms, but fingering is important. And I'm able with this intro. I think you can actually lift up your hand a little more often than you do and Hear About It Later. Hear About It Later, you really want to sustain every single note pretty much as you can, and you palm mute a lot in the Hear About It Later intro. This is not palm muted at all, and but you can lift up to get to different things. It's a little more comfortable to play this intro, I believe. But anyway, that's enough of that.
That's cool. That's excellent. That first chord you just played though in the picked part of it.
Yes.
I'm hearing one note different than you are. Where your pointing finger, the note that your pointing finger is on, is that an A note on the G string?
Yes.
Okay. Instead of playing that, use try your go one fret up on that. No, I'm sorry, on the fourth string.
Oh, instead of the open D.
Let me hear that for a second.
Hold on.
Maybe I'm not. You know what? I need a guitar. I don't have a guitar with me. There's something. It's
Look
the
behind
first
you.
chord in the actual. Yeah, I know. It's the same as the first chord in the distorted part.
Yeah.
It's the same chord as the first chord. That's it. Yes, that's the chord.
That's not it.
Oh, it's not?
No, that's here's what happens. The very first hit of that chord is if you listen to the record, I think it'll bear it out. But the first strike is this, and then you move your finger up to that fourth fret note on the G strings. So you're.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. Okay.
So it's the same chord, but it's just a slightly different. So that was the tricky part of that chord, and one of the interesting things that I wanted to make sure that people understood. So I'm fingering that chord. It's the open E, the ring finger on the fifth fret of the A string, the open D, and then the index finger on the second fret of the G string. That's the first strike of the chord. So that's. And then you play the open B. And then you move your index finger over to that fourth fret, and then you play that. So you're. See what I mean?
Yep. Okay. Yep.
I'll play it super slow. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Great.
So that was
I just learned something.
No, that was a neat thing for me too, because it was frustrating when I first started playing. I was like, well, how am I gonna, how do I finger this? And then I realized, oh, I don't have to leave. I can lift, or I can just move up to catch with my index finger that fourth fret. So this is the cool thing. Like I was saying, you do get that natural phasing between the open B and the fourth fret, and then not only do you get that, but then you also have that neat sound that comes of just repeating the exact same note on the same fret and string. So, and then the next thing is, so that's the open string and then two hits of the fourth fret note.
Yep.
that's a neat thing. So, any other questions about that intro?
That is exactly. Yeah, I just learned something. You just taught me something. Great.
And that's you'll see that's how it's transcribed in the official tab book. But you do have to you have to get your own fingerings together in order to be able to achieve what they're notating. And like I said, I think they have it notated correctly. And it took me a minute to figure it out. That I would be using these strings because these fingers. So and again, that's one where the thumb is way the hell back here to be able to even play that first.
Yeah, you need to have your wrist all the way out. Yeah. Like a classical player would.
Right, yeah. But probably even worse because most classical players don't necessarily have their thumb all the way on the edge of the fretboard, but with Eddie Van Halen, you got to go even further than the classical players typically do. Because the correct classical position is really with the thumb in the more or less the middle of the back of the neck.
In the middle. Right.
But yeah, this is really super exaggerated. Where I'm not kidding. My thumb is way the hell over here in order to get all these, and classical guys do this too. I'm not saying it that but just again the typical basic classical position is like so with the thumb in the middle of the back of the neck. And then the rest of the song kicks in, and David, maybe you could chime in on this, and maybe Johnny, if you have any thoughts. But it may be because of the Lazauer pictures of the studio, which may or may not have been fake studio shots of them recording Van Halen 2, those famous shots where Eddie's playing the black and white version of the Destroyer and the black and white version of the Frankenstein, and then the Destroyer sitting on the guitar stand, and then the bomb and the old amps and the whole shebang and bang.
Yeah, I've seen that photo, right?
And that photo also, you see that's where you see the unfinished guitar that he used with the Dan Electro neck that he used on the intro of Women in Love.
Yes.
And that's the only time you're going to see that guitar because he ended up using the body on another. That could have become like that guitar could have become one of the other. It's not the extra thick body, but it became one of the other Fair Warning era black and white guitars. Like is the Rude the thick guitar or was it the Unchained?
Yeah, it's thick. The Rude is thick. The Rude
Okay.
and the Circles guitar are both thick bodies.
So they're both the thick bodies. Okay. Now there was a regular unfinished Boogie Bodies guitar that became something else too. I don't even know which one it was, but at any rate, that body ended up becoming something else, and then the Dan Electro neck went on first it went on that black Mini Explorer type of that Charvel Explorer type of thing that he did.
Yeah.
And then, well, actually, that's what it was first. First, it was on that guitar, that black or maybe even dark red, some say, Charvel Explorer body with the Dan Electro neck. Then the Dan Electro neck went on this unfinished Women in Love intro body, and then it went from that to being used on the Star guitar.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Was the Women in Love guitar that you're talking about? Yeah, that's the one you can see in all those Lazauer photos.
Yes.
I wonder, is that the same guitar? There's a guitar on stage with Eddie during the Whiskey A Go Go, You Really Got Me, Running with the Devil, Jamie's Crying music videos.
Yeah, that could be it. I can't remember, but I can't remember if that guitar was painted white or if it was just unfinished. It may be unfinished. I think it is. I think in the videos, it's laying against the amplifier with the back facing the camera or the audience. You don't see the front of the guitar. You just see the back of the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and that could indeed be it. That could indeed be it.
Mm-hmm.
But my point about bringing up those pictures and all those different things, people have said that because there's no tremolo work on the actual distorted guitar track of Women in Love, i.e. the rest of the song after the intro, people say, and I don't think Eddie or anybody else has confirmed it, but people say that he used the Shark, the actual Shark modified Destroyer, on that track for the rest of the Women in Love song. And they also, people also say, and I can totally tell, I really firmly believe that he did use the Shark in its modified state to record Out of Love Again for many different reasons. But I believe that he did use that on Out of Love Again. I'm not 110% sure that he used the Shark for Women in Love, but that could be. What say you to that, David or Johnny?
I mean, it sounds like it could be. I don't know for a fact that he did. I know that there's no tremolo. He doesn't use a tremolo arm at all. So it could very well be either that or the white Les Paul at that point.
Yeah, he had the white Les Paul, I believe, at that point. Yeah.
You know, it might even be the 58 or 59 burst that he used on Women and Children First, because he had that back then too.
He had that in time for the second album sessions?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I feel like Out of Love Again, there's certain songs that he does where he uses really super wide bends that he does not do when he had this, you know, on the standard tremolo guitars. You know, he doesn't necessarily on record do the really super wide bends like you hear on You Really Got Me or like the Running with the Devil solo. You don't hear those really wide bends on tracks where he used the Frankenstein, because he really would, when he's playing the Destroyer and other stop tailpiece guitars, he really went into super wide bends that would really knock the standard Fender tremolo out of tune pretty well.
Yeah, there's also the other reason also is because there's more fretboard material, and the strings won't go off the edge of the fretboard on the Gibson scale stuff.
Exactly right. So those guitars are really made, to do that. And I remember one thing that you had said, and I wanted to ask you about this too, David. I watched one of the other videos that happened over the last week, and you guys did a ton of them, but you had mentioned at one point that you thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that you thought that Eddie might have used a Les Paul, or that he may have said in an interview that he might have used a Les Paul or some other guitar other than the Destroyer on You Really Got Me or any of the non-tremolo tracks on the first album. Which
there was an interview.
I've never seen that interview, and every interview that he's ever given that I've ever seen, he just straight up says, I used the Destroyer on all the non-tremolo tracks on the first album. Now, I know he had the Les Paul Jr. I know he had that Les Paul Jr. Let you get that.
Right. There's an interview from a few years ago. I can't remember where. But he stated that he couldn't remember whether it was the Destroyer or a Les Paul. It was one or the other. He couldn't remember. That's.
And that was a more recent interview, right?
You know what? Maybe it wasn't an interview. Maybe it was when I spoke to him in '98. It could be that. If you can't find it in interviews, maybe it was one of the times that I actually. I was with him for a week and we talked a lot.
Yeah.
And that might have been one of the things that we spoke about. And he was like, "Yeah, maybe he told me personally." But yeah, it was. He couldn't remember whether he used the Destroyer or a Les Paul, but he knew that it was something that had a toggle switch on it.
Right. I think for me personally, I tend to think that falls into the camp of the later period, and that falls into the camp of, well, I think he might have just forgotten. He may literally, as he said, I forget what I used. But in every single interview previous to that, he said it was the Destroyer, backwards and forwards. I mean, and I tend to believe all of those older interviews. To me, I really think that I'm going to go with that. I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm sure that he absolutely did say that to you, and he would be correct if he said he didn't remember, because there are times where he
Yeah.
doesn't remember. Like in that 1984 issue of Guitar, well, the recent Guitar World, where he talked about the making of 1984, and he said he thought he used the 5150 Kramer to record the 1984 album. And man,
I know. Yeah.
1984, full stop. It's pretty obvious, you know. So I think that may be one of those types of situations. I'm going with the Destroyer on the first album.
I tend to believe you, but you know, like I said, I heard it and I'm almost positive that's how that happened. Is that I heard it from the horse's mouth, and you tend to just go with that when you you know, even if it's wrong, he said it.
Yeah. Well, and
so
that's
what I'm gonna. That's what I believe at the moment. But I think you're right. I think everything was the Destroyer back then. Everything was the.
And he was not making a false statement. He said he didn't remember.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's like, for us being fans and fanatic about this guy, we remember everything, and we remember stupid stuff. I mean, I don't remember half the things that happened in my life that that other people remember. So I can understand. It happened in his life. It's not something that was significant to him.
Right.
To us, it's all significant and it's all relevant because we're guitar geeks. We're Eddie Van Halen geeks.
Right.
So to us, and it's good and it's bad, but we hang on every word that guy says.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and alcoholism and cocaine abuse tend to make the memory go as well. So.
Well, yeah. Whatever. And all that stuff that I did this morning, that's why. I don't know.
No, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about Eddie.
I know. I don't actually like doing the negative thing with Eddie Van Halen. So I'd rather put
I'll say a little. I've said it a little bit before about that. It's like, to me, I do bring that up because at this point all that stuff is kind of factual, that he absolutely.
Yeah, but it's in the past.
But what's cool about it, and what's positive about it, and what makes me as a fan happy and as a person happy, is that I think at long last, after several times of trying for decades to get sober, I really believe that he has been sober now for many years, like probably
since 2007.
Yeah, since around
2007 he got sober.
Yeah. I mean, and and that's a fantastic thing because he clearly has had his battles, and I think he seems to be a happier person, and I think he's playing better than he's played. We know that. We talk about that all the time. He's playing. He's playing better technically than he's played in a very long time, going back decades, and I think that's kind of a provable point. The videos are all out there. He's playing with more distortion and this, that, and the other, and technically the guitars are a little bit easier to play, but man, like I always point out, like that guy can play the Ice Cream Man lick now, even if he's sitting down, but he can play it now, and he couldn't play it for decades.
I know he couldn't play it in the mid '80s. He couldn't play it.
Exactly. So it's a great thing. I'm happy that whatever the guy had to go through to get where he's at. I mean, if he didn't, if the guy didn't stay up, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for decades to make those albums in the middle of the night, I mean, that guy worked hard all day, all night, making music for a long, long time, making these albums. I mean. He abused himself, and and for better or for worse, it is what it is. We've got these albums, and we've got all this great stuff from him. And on the other side of it, he's happy, and he seems to be happy, and he's healthy and doing good, and he seems like he's happy in his marriage. He seems like he's has a better relationship with his son, obviously, and yada yada yada. But all good stuff to him, and glad for it,
I agree 100%.
So as far as Women in Love, I mean, if we go by those those pictures, the only non-tremolo guitar that he has in those pictures, is the Shark guitar, and I think you may be right about. I believe you may be right about that. He may have had the white Les Paul Custom at that point. He bought it in New Orleans in 1978 at some point. I'm not sure the timeline of when he had it versus, I mean, how sure are you on that timeline of him having the white Les Paul Custom for the second album, Sessions?
As sure as someone that wasn't there could be.
Yeah. I got you.
Well, he's playing it on the 78 tour.
Right, but not for the entire 78 tour. Because he got that guitar in New Orleans during the 78 tour.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Are you saying he used it on the second record?
That's what David was saying, that it's a possibility that he could have used the white Les Paul Custom for the second album, Sessions, i.e. what we're talking about for the main electric guitar track of Women in Love and possibly Out of Love Again, or other songs that had no tremolo, like the rhythm guitar of Bottoms Up. Also, people have said Bottoms Up was done with the Shark modified Destroyer, but there's a possibility that it could have been, if David's correct, he could have had the white Les Paul Custom available to him for those sessions, and he may have used that guitar. And of course, the only thing that I have to go by as far as the sessions go are those pictures. And the only non-tremolo guitar you see there, well, you see the unfinished Electro Women in Love intro guitar, and you see the Shark guitar, and then you see the black and white Frankenstein with the standard Fender tremolo. So, one assumes that those were the guitars that were used on the actual record, based on that. There's controversy about those pictures, and it's staged, and this, that, and the other. If it was staged, they probably just walked in there and took a picture of what they just did. If not, it probably wasn't them actually recording. But I believe that's how things were probably set up in that room for some recording.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me see.
So, anything else, guys? Have we been babbling too long? How are we doing on time there, Johnny?
No, I'm fine.
Well, it's because you've had breakfast. I haven't eaten today.
So go eat.
It's just turned noon here.
Well, if you want to get something to eat, me and David can rap.
You guys are gonna.
I mean, rap.
You mean like rap?
There.
Like rap?
Yeah. Like the way we used to say it in the 70s, rapping just meant talking. It had nothing to do with rap music.
Yeah. And certainly not WRAP.
Correct.
Let me see.
Well, whatever you want to do, Johnny, it's fine with me. I do need to call the Music Zoo and find out something for Rob Johnson, and I should probably do that real soon. But what else do you want to talk about, Alan? What else you got?
Oh man, there's a million things. I did get to see this morning. I started watching your last video where you were going over your Frankenstein. Beautiful, great job, man. I was really impressed with the three-way Strat selector switch, the original 60s.
Yeah, we went all out with that thing, and I wanted it to be as close to the original as possible. I mean, of course, nothing's ever going to be exact, but I thought because it has a prototype Frankenstein pickup in it, everything is as close. It has a prototype nut on it. It's like, let's just go for broke. I'll spend the money. I'll make I'll make this thing be like the ridiculous amount of money guitar that and make it right.
Yeah,
so I went on eBay and I think I paid $3.50 for that switch, not $3.50.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You paid $350
for a switch.
Wow.
for
For Switch, it doesn't
a
even
mid
work?
'60s Switch.
Oh
It
wow.
works. It just not doesn't work in
Oh.
that guitar.
Oh my.
And it's the three
If I
pitch,
ever pulled
three
it out and put it
position.
in a guitar, it would work.
It's the 3-position switch, correct?
No, it's a 5-position switch.
But they didn't have
Well,
five.
you know what? It's a 3-position switch that had
Yeah.
notched. It had been notched for 5.
Oh, okay, okay. Because yeah, I mean, in my '68, of course, I originally had a 3-position, and I still have the original 3-position switch.
Yeah, yeah.
But I put a 5-position in so I could do this kind of stuff more easily, obviously. But yeah, no, that was great. I think that's a great way to go about doing it, since it's the Eddie guitar. Maybe the 5150 has been done as much as or more than the Frankenstein as far as replica builds are concerned, but it is pretty rare when somebody does a really super accurate Frankenstein, and if you're gonna do one that everybody else has done, do it to the nth degree, and I appreciate that. That's a great reasoning, and I like the way you went. And the Mighty Mite red phenolic pickup, how did you get that? Did you find that on eBay too?
Yes, that's where we got it from. But I do that with all my replicas. I go the extra mile, and I try to. I mean, with the exception of, I can't get. I'm not going to spend $1,300. Oh, actually, what is it, like $2,000 for a whale tail Floyd Rose?
Jeez.
I just, when I can get them from Floyd themselves for next to nothing, I'll relic one. It doesn't have to be, like my 5150 build. I'm not going to spend all that money, spend as much on a Floyd as the whole guitar costs. Just not going to do it. But if it's extra few dollars here and there to make it look more realistic, that's I consider a couple $100 a few extra dollars.
Yeah.
When we're talking about $2,000 for the guitar, if I have to spend $200 or $300 for a piece to make it more accurate, fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spend another $2,000 for a piece that goes on the guitar when I can spend, I'm not going to tell everyone what I spend on Floyd Roses because I get a great deal on them. But
right.
when I can spend next to nothing for a real German Floyd Rose that I can relic and make look old.
Right. Right.
I'm not going to do it.
Right. And then, well, of course, and I think you have not done the extra thick body replicas. Like I know you made.
Yeah,
replicas.
I have 2 of them. I didn't do them. I bought them from a buddy of mine, but they are the extra thick bodies. My Rude guitar and my Rasta guitar are the thick bodies.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. So your Rude,
you want me to grab one so you can see it? You want me to grab one real quick so you can see it?
Yeah. So the Rude guitar is not the thick body though, right?
Yes, the Rude and the Rasta.
So your Rude, your Rasta, and your Unchained are all the thick bodies.
Well, no, my Unchained is not a thick body because at the time I didn't know that it was. I didn't when we built that guitar. I didn't know that it was supposed to be.
Okay.
So
I got you.
I'm waiting.
Yeah,
I'm actually waiting on it.
There, the heel. Yeah, yeah. Oh snap! Yeah, that's it. 2 inches thick, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Hang on one second. Let's get this. Can't get my screen to work. There we go.
Wow. Yeah. Oh.
It's huge.
Yeah. That's great. Love it. Yeah, that's classic. Well, I think again that's one of those things that probably wound up in the failure file for Eddie because he thought a chunky piece of wood would make the Floyd Rose sound better, but I don't think that it ultimately did because I don't know if the trade-off is really that much in tone. It's really more about the block than anything else. Wouldn't you say? Or do you feel like that has better?
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you to an extent, but And this is mahogany as well, but it's a
Right.
light piece of mahogany. It's not super heavy like you would think.
Right.
Uh, and it does sound a little bit thicker than say any of the Kramers that I have.
Okay.
Uh, it's pretty resonant too. I don't know if you can hear it. I mean, my fan is going, so
No, I can
it's
hear
tough
it.
but it's really good, and it's in tune, thank God.
That's
But I haven't played this guitar in a few months.
What pickup do you have in that?
This is a Super Distortion.
right.
This is an old Super Distortion. This is probably one from I don't know, the 80s, I would imagine.
The unpotted ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried one of
And
those. They're just not usable. I tried potting it too, and potting it didn't solve the problems. It was really bad microphonic feedback. Now I use new Super Distortions in my Destroyer and in my '78 Frankie replica, but the brand new ones are factory potted. But yeah, the old.
well, this one's not very microphonic at all.
Well, I'm talking about
I
the
got
ones from
lucky.
the '70s.
Oh, yeah, from the 70s. You know what? They probably were potted, but I mean, it's 40 years now. So, it's probably wearing off.
Well, my understanding was that they were not potted at all in the late '70s, and they started potting them in the '80s at some point.
Yeah. I don't think they
Now
were potted back then.
no, and now they have a new machine, new probably over the last decade or so. They have a new machine that vacuum seals the wax and all this kind of stuff, and that's why the brand new Super Distortions are really quiet in terms of microphonic feedback. So,
Hmm.
and to me, there's a difference in sound, but I'm happy to do without the microphonic feedback in my guitar. And again, I use the Super Distortions in those two guitars because they work the best with my particular amp.
Yeah, sure.
As I always say, and I say it every time somebody discusses pickups, just as a reminder, don't shoot the messenger, but if you don't have the exact same guitar and the exact same amplifier, any discussion of pickups is really not very fruitful for someone that is not using the exact same amp and the exact same guitar.
Well, there's a caveat. When we do this discussion, there will be a caveat. But the three of us that are going to, well, actually, there's going to be more of us, but at least four of us have the same guitars and the same amp.
Yeah, and that's the only way to do it.
So it'll be close. It's a good discussion because, I mean, of course, not every guitar is going to sound exactly the same, and not every amplifier. You can have 10 of the same exact guitar and 10 of the same exact amplifier. None of them are going to sound exactly the same, and it also sounds different depending on whose fingers are playing. Who's playing.
Yeah.
But you can get an idea. You can get an idea of the differences. And again, there's a caveat. We will mention that this is not an exact science, and it's subject to everyone's ears. Everyone hears differently. Everyone hears everything differently.
Yeah.
So
and
it's very subjective.
I've listened to people's advice about pickups online, and I've read discussions in forums and stuff like that, and ultimately I've just had to try things out just to see how they work.
You have to make your own decision. You need to make your own decisions. But you know what? When you have 4 or 5 guys that are telling you kind of the same thing, you could at least take it into consideration.
Yeah.
And you can start to formulate, your own opinions once you hear, like 4 or 5 guys kind of saying the same thing. Then you can at least put, I don't know. I just think that I think we're doing it the right way. I don't think it's going to come off being not necessarily novice, but I mean, there's a baseline. There's going to be a baseline that we can follow.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That sounds great, and I'm glad you guys are doing it that way. I do kind of feel, I always bring that up because I feel like a lot of people will just kind of end up just right away going and buying a pickup and getting it back and thinking that they're going to get thus and such result, but I think people sometimes will just kind of throw good money after bad. Sometimes, if you're playing, like for instance, my Rocksta Marshall, which is the Mod 5 circuit with a post phase inverter master volume, that particular amp really works well with super distortions. I tried the original Super 70s that came in my Destroyer. I tried 57 Classics. I tried several different pickups, but the pickup that works with that amp is the super distortion for that first album type sound. And the guy that built the amp was using that pickup when he made demo clips for his amps, and it just that particular thing worked. There's so many variables that go into it, but like I'd hate for somebody to bare knuckle pickups. They're great. They make great pickups. They're expensive. And you can.
I have one coming. I know.
Yeah, it'd be like $250, $300, $350, whatever for And I'd hate for somebody to get that and go, wow, that didn't sound like anything, to me. But
Well, listen, on a request by someone. Not a request, but on someone's recommendation, I bought a Duncan 78.
Yeah.
That everyone seems to love, but I can't stand that pickup. I hate it. It's very bright, and it doesn't sound good in a Northern Ash body. I have it in my Circles guitar.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't sound good, and I mean I don't play that guitar that often that I need to change the pickup, but. It's not what I mean. Everyone makes that mistake. Oh, you go on a recommendation. All right, I'll take it. I'll buy it, and I ended up not liking it. So there you go.
Yeah. Hey, well, you mentioned Northern Ash. That makes me think of another thing about the Frankenstein. What I read online and read interviews with Lynn Ellsworth, and I had mentioned this in my own Frankenstein build. From what I can tell, the stock that Lynn was using back then for those early boogie bodies and necks, or the bodies specifically, was, as you say, Northern Ash. And I had mentioned this before when I was talking about my guitar. What Lynn had said was that it was kiln dried Northern Ash, or in other words, roasted, because it was like old growth Northern Ash. B, it was kiln dried to remove the moisture, and the reason why it was kiln dried to remove the moisture, as Lynn Ellsworth explained it, was that the wood that he was using for those bodies came from furniture, what he called furniture grade Northern Ash. It was, and furniture needs to be made out of kiln dried wood because when you make furniture, it's got to stay true, and you got to remove as much of the moisture as you can. So that was an interesting thing that I learned before I did my build. Like I probably would have just gone ahead and gotten a regular Northern Ash body for my Frankenstein, and I ended up getting the roasted one because that is closer, or as close as you can get, to kiln-dried Northern Ash that would have been used in the original guitar. So that I just and I know you use regular Northern Ash. Have you tried any kiln-dried or roasted guitars? Bodies.
I have two roasted guitars here. They're not Van Halen guitars, but they're. I have a roasted custom shop 52 Telecaster. Roasted neck and ash body, and I have a roasted 59 Stratocaster here.
Excellent.
ash body and roasted neck, and they're
Yeah,
fantastic.
there's a lot of great, exclusive to Music Zoo roasted guitars. They've got a whole bunch of roasted.
That's
cool.
where I got them from.
Yeah.
I get all my guitars from them, really, and especially the roasted.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, they've
all
got
amazing.
roasted guitars that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, they're starting to do 59 and 60 Les Pauls that are roasted as well.
Yeah, I saw
Ridiculous.
those.
They are so amazing.
Yeah.
I've played them all. I have the luxury of going there and playing whatever I want. That's how close I am to these people. In friendship and in miles. It's literally down the block. Takes less than 10 minutes to get to the store from my house.
Yeah.
And
no doubt you're a regular customer. Sure.
Well, I don't even consider myself a customer. I consider myself a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
They don't usually let people go there and check out guitars and do YouTube videos with them, but they allow me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, I buy a lot of guitars a year from them. I probably buy 5 or 6 guitars a year from them.
Yeah.
And like we're talking thousands of dollars, not $500 at a time.
Oh yeah.
They do me really well. I mean, I get Christmas gifts. I get guitars as Christmas gifts from them.
Amazing. Amazing.
A couple years ago,
I wanted to kind of put that out there about roasted Northern Ash. If for people out there that are building a Frankenstein specifically, it's great on all guitars, but I think it's kind of something to consider if you're going to do a Frankenstein relic or a Frankenstein build. Think about getting a roasted body, and Musicraft makes, all of their bodies can be roasted, and that's how I got mine. Mine is a Musicraft roasted body, and then I got a Chris Lock neck for my guitar. But my Asusa Musicraft is about as close as you're going to get body-wise, to the original Frankenstein that I've seen out there. Candy is great too,
I'm exactly opposite from you. I get my bodies from Chris, and I get my necks from Musicraft.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I love.
I just got a brand spanking new neck yesterday. No, Saturday it came.
The Frankenwolf.
Ridiculous. No. That's coming. That's coming. But that's coming from Chris. But the quarter saw neck, I got a new. Here, I'll show it. I'll go get it real quick. And Johnny's probably like, "No, I'm hungry."
Johnny, you could have been chowing down the whole time we've been rapping here.
Yeah. No, actually, I have to go out and eat. I don't have anything here. I actually have to leave. Oh, hey, Faraz.
All right, so this will be the last thing. We'll do this last.
Cool.
So I just got this, but look at the if you can see, I don't know, let's see if I can get. Look how great piece of quarter sawn maple this is. I don't know if you can see it actually. But
I can see the grain. It's real straight.
The grain is super straight, even through the headstock.
Yeah. Wow. That is awesome. What are you going to put that on?
I will tell you, but I'm not going to say it online because I don't know that I should be making it. But I'll tell you when we're not live.
Ooh, I almost I can guess. I'll throw out a guess.
Please don't. No, don't
even guess.
Don't guess live.
Don't even look at it. Stop,
don't
Dave,
guess
stop
live.
doing that.
When we
talking
get
about
off
it.
live, I'll let you guess.
Okay.
Let me eat first, and then you can guess.
There you go.
We should probably call this. We should probably call this now.
Sounds good. Well, hey, if there's anything you guys can think for me to kind of go over, maybe even next time or whatever. And I do want to talk about Andy Summers with Johnny and do some stuff with that.
Do some things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Some things. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we gotta start doing Andy Summers.
We can talk about Andy Summers.
Yeah.
You could probably get Andy in this too. Andy Summers himself.
Yeah, I probably could.
Well, you don't want to do that because
Yeah,
I'll just start
that's
crying.
not gonna happen.
It would be me looking at the screen and crying.
Oh my God.
I've talked to the guy so much. It's no big deal. It's all he's just a regular dude. Same with Eddie. Eddie's just a regular dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Faraz, our friend Faraz left a comment. He says, "Hey guys, how are you all doing?" He says, "David, he sent you a message on Facebook regarding Schaller Mini M6s."
Uh-huh.
So he just
I thought I answered that question.
it was like 10
Ask
minutes
what the question is again.
regarding the Schaller MX Minis. He's asking if you checked the link that he sent you.
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
Faraz, send it to me again, please. And I apologize for not looking if I didn't. I
He
get so
might have
many
just-
messages a day now that I might have overlooked it. So please send it again.
Then here's a quick photo. This is that guitar. So the guitar you're talking about, the that whole women in love thing.
Yeah.
This is the guitar right here on stage. On the back of the stage. Right there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's
Right
it.
there. Okay. So assuming he used it live maybe, or just had it as a backup, or I don't know.
I think it was just a backup, yeah.
Cool.
Look at that guitar. Oh,
Yeah.
is that what is that? A 66?
That is a 60. Yeah, it's a 66.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Dang.
Now you
Yeah.
got to play Pound Cake.
Yeah, this
He's
one.
got it tuned open though.
I did a clip on my. Yeah, this is actually like open F sharp or whatever because I actually tuned it to the record.
Play Pound Cake and open F sharp.
Yeah, right there you go. If you think I'm going to take a 12-string guitar and retune it to play Pound Cake, you have got another thing coming, mister.
Look how red my face is. Oh. My lighting is so horrible here.
That's beautiful guitar.
I love it. Well, it was really not in good shape when I got it. I can't remember if I talked about this one with you guys before, but it was someone had stripped the finish. It was bare wood. Had a couple of gouges in it. The neck was really bowed. The headstock, everything had been sanded, so I had to get. This is one where we were talking about headstock logos. I had gotten the correct headstock logo to replace the missing one. Completely refinished this entire guitar. Did the correct three-tone sunburst, and put the correct finish on the neck. Had to get a new wiring harness because they screwed some other stuff up. One of the pickups was dead. I had MJ at Seymour Duncan fixed the original pickup.
Mm-hmm.
She just found one little piece of the wiring that had a dead spot in it, and she was able to bring it back to life. And it only cost me $40 to fix the pickup, which was great. But I'm a huge Zeppelin freak, so this guitar is, obviously it was used on When the Levee Breaks and Stairway to Heaven, and The Song Remains the Same, and Four Sticks. What else? Some other cool stuff, but and I think it may have also been used for the intro to Achilles' Last Stand, too.
Very cool.
Very cool. So, yeah, so that's a whole other thing that I've always said we could do more talking about Jimmy Page guitars too. So I'm probably going to screw around with this because now that I have the compressor algorithm, which didn't cost me anything, which was nice, I'll be able to actually play this guitar with a compressor and electric 12 strings. scream out for compressors, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's Johnny.
Oh, it's Johnny.
Echo.
Echo.
But yeah, let's call this. I'm sure we've been on forever here, and Johnny, you need to eat. So God bless you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course, man. Yeah, yeah. It's always great to listen to you explain, some of these parts.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of that stuff down. A lot of the stuff. And yeah, that's the cool thing about these videos is getting people in here to talk about this stuff. So it's great.
And it's great seeing you, David. Always a pleasure to chat with you. And
Yeah, same here.
Your brain
Same here.
up.
Thank you for showing us all that stuff. Thank you for giving us lessons, man. Excellent.
Cool, man. And I'll send a shout out to Chris Hubbard. I hopefully I can get on when he's on sometime, and our pal Rob, and everybody else watching, and Mully and everybody out there. Hopefully I can catch up with you guys on another hangout.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. It's just working all the time zones out because it's so and so is only available at this time on this day. So and so is blah 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 blah.
Well, what makes this work is availability.
Yeah.
And it's just it's as easy as that. It's as simple as that. It's not easy, but it's simple when it works.
Yeah.
And once your daughter gets a little older, and if we're still alive and doing these things, you'll have a little more free time.
Yeah, you got it, man. And then she can get on and start talking about this stuff. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hears you talk about it so much, she probably knows it all already.
Yeah, probably. She's seen a lot of these hangouts on. Believe me, she watches these hangouts on the big TV while she's playing. So she knows everything there is to know about Van Halen at this point.
Faraz.
Well,
right,
I said
Dave.
we cut it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Faraz says he resent you the message.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
You should have it. Cool. Okay. This has been cool. Thanks, Alan Garber. I know you've wanted to explain the Women Who Love intro for like a week now, or probably longer, but
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, ever since David said, "Hey, go play Women in Love," and I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta go tune." It's like, "Oops, I gotta go tune my guitar."
You gotta play it on
It
Classic
happens.
next time. Cool. All right. Thanks for watching this, everybody, and we'll be back later. We have a scheduled hangout for 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Now, is that going to be the pickup one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll talk about every EVH. At first, I was thinking we'd talk about the official EVH pickups, which are, of course, the Music Man one, the PV one, the EVH Gear one. But then I realized, there's all these other ones out there, the Seymour Duncan ones, the whatever, So I guess we can just talk about each one, and like Dave was saying, since we all play the same guitars, we have the same amps, somewhat, we can talk about what we think about, maybe share our favorite settings, stuff like that. I already pre-recorded my own clips for it already, because like you playing on here, when you have a clean guitar, you can play, and it comes through. Distorted, no, you can't do it. So I already pre-recorded my clips already, playing through my 5150 last week. So those I'll have up online for people to check out. So.
Cool.
Yes. So yeah.
Hey,
so we're back.
You want to hear the end of When the Levee Breaks before we go?
Go ahead.
There it is.
There you go.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good day.
Thanks for watching this, people. Thanks for like, share, and subscribe if you dig this stuff. Subscribe to David Nesdall. Just YouTube, Nesdall, and you'll come right across his channel. Alan Garber, what's your channel?
My channel is Garbeage, Garbeaj.
Cool. Subscribe
That's
to
cool.
Alan. Subscribe to me, please. You don't have to search for my channel.
I'm gonna go play some hockey.
Oh, you know how Eddie plays golf. He's got those striped up golf clubs. I wonder if he played
Clubs.
hockey. Man, if he played hockey, he could have a striped up hockey stick that said Kramer on it. You know? Has anybody made those yet?
I don't know.
The idea whose time has come.
I think we just
But the
we just came up with something.
the headstock should be curved. It should have a curve on it if you're gonna do that.
Well, hey, if anybody invents that from now till that later, I just said it. So, all right, cool. All right, JohnnyBean, We'll be back in a few hours.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Later.